What's going on, everybody? Coming at you with a different video, and it's time for the 2024 year in review. Okay. Um, Before I made this video today, I decided to take it upon myself to watch the 2023 year in review to see who I was then in comparison with today, and looking ahead into the new year. Today is New Year's. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. The air feels a little more crisp and a little bit more clear. Like there's just something in the air. Something that I just recognize is there's like bird chirpings right next to where I live. So that's a first. So I'm going to take it as a good sign that 2025 is going to be a good and better year. But I wanted to do a 2024 year in review. And so if I had to define what 2024 was for me, it is spiritual purification and assembling the forces. Okay. And I'm going to go more into that because that's, as I share more and more things that I wrote down, that's a thread that is thorough throughout everything that I share. Okay. So 2024, it was more good than its challenges. That's what I can say. 2023 began with me not being responsible of taking care of my grandmother. And my grandmother, she passed away last December. That was a very big theme for me of 2023. And something that was very difficult to do was to have a spiritual practice. It was very hard to meditate because I would always be in constant need of taking care of my grandma. And if I wanted to go outside, it just wasn't suitable to be quiet. There would be like the neighbor's dogs always barking. There would be gnats on my or mosquitoes biting me. So it was like constant irritation. So the first 6 months of 2024 was just me just being free of responsibility and just living life. And yeah, just living life and not really just kind of unwinding from the year before, and just not taking into account of what I needed to do to progress and move ahead. But I moved back to LA. That's the thing. I currently live in LA. I'm in my place right now, and as you can see, I have my little graham cracker over here. He's always sleeping like most of the time, but he's I call him my son. So every time I come back, I'm like, oh, my son, my son, my son. And I get him, some cat food and stuff like that. Yeah, so he's my boy, my boy. Okay, so moving back to LA and completely oblivious to the fact that, oh, I'm not in my spiritual practice, but yet I have a lot of things that I want in this life, and I'm just moving towards my goals, but I'm not doing what's required on a consistent basis to obtain those things. Okay. It's been a very progressive year, and we're going to go down the list, but anyways, I thought that the actors strike, because I'm in the entertainment business, I thought that the actors and writers strike, with it being over, I thought things would progress a lot faster, and boy, was I wrong. So 2024 was more of another stagnant year when it came to projects in the entertainment business. But another big theme for me in 2024 was relationships, and I mean relationships of all sorts, all sorts. And I really had to put that under the microscope. Um, I realize with a lot of relationship patterns that I have, I realize that um, holding myself back, and there's things that I don't want to bring into 2025. And when it comes to relationships, I was this was probably, I kid you not, this was maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. I was in bed and I had an epiphany, and I realized that life is not going as smooth as I would like it, and I don't have what I want, and I just felt like something was missing. And then I realized, I'm like, dude, David, like the first half of like 2024, you really didn't have like a spiritual practice. And in earlier years, like before I was taking care of my grandmother, like I was doing pretty good. Like I had something. Like I had like a moral compass, and I had a practice, and I was self-sufficient in that way. But then I realized, I'm like, dude, David, like you have not been, you know, yeah, you haven't really been doing as much as you have been. So that's when I realized that I really had to like get back on track. And something in me told me that you need to go to Barnes and Noble and you need to buy a book called Letting Go, which I've heard about before, but it just seemed very appropriate for a lot of the things that were happening in me. And I'm sure anyone can relate, but I'm very much like a control freak at times. I like to have things my way. And for me, letting go just seemed very appropriate. And this is a book that I read this year. It's called Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. And it really opened up a lot of pathways for me internally to really realize, well, things are, a certain way because you're living like this. And something that another epiphany that I had, which was kind of related to this book. There's a saying that goes like, likes attracts likes, birds of a feather fly together. And one of my goals is I want to settle down. Okay, I want to settle down, and I want to have children. Like I really want to experience fatherhood. Okay, and something that was in this book that made me realize, I love my friends, but a lot of them are single and not successful with relationships. So something that I took it upon myself this year is I want to hang out with men that I feel are successful with their marriage and are good fathers. And I've done that. And it's also helped put things in perspective about life, like from that perspective of being a dad and being a husband and that type of stuff. And so that's been very helpful. So I've been communing more with men that are like that, just tapping into that frequency and just, immersing myself with that. I do believe in a thing called osmosis, that who you spend time with the most is gonna rub off on you. You become who you surround yourself with. And so I've been implementing that more. I got so much. And so with that, I now have developed a spiritual practice. So what I do now is, I've been doing this the last 4 months. Okay, it's about like, I started this back up like late September. It was around the Miramar Air Show of last year in San Diego. And what I do now is when I first wake up, because I understand that your subconscious mind is most susceptible in the morning and at night before you go to bed. What I do now is I wake up, I don't even look at my phone. I do not look at my phone at all. I shut it off and I read a psalm from the Bible. I read one psalm from the Bible. I read a devotional from Charles Stanley that a friend of mine gave to me. He's a Christian pastor. And I read a daily devotional in there for the day. It's like 365 days. A daily devotional. And then I say out loud the Lord's Prayer. And then I say out loud the Serenity Prayer. And it's been helpful. It has been. Like, I feel like my life has gotten better. That's where it goes back to. It's back to spiritual purification. And I understand the power of affirmations, and I think the Lord's Prayer is a perfect prayer. It's like, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Okay? That prayer is, I feel like it's a perfect prayer because it affirms a lot of, thy will be done. In other words, you're affirming that you're surrendering your will. And I get something else in here. I might as well just say the Serenity Prayer as well. But this is the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace. Taking as he did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will. That I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Now, the reason why the Serenity Prayer, it affirms, it's another example of affirmative prayer. But the reason why I like this a lot is because at my grandma's house, I kid you not, she had the Serenity Prayer maybe like at least 3 or 4 walls. Like, she had posters of it. And my grandma was not an alcoholic. I mean, that's kind of something that's synonymous to Alcoholics Anonymous, but that's the significance, is because it takes me to that. And I see the power in the prayer. I do. I really do. Like, I get it. So between reading a psalm, daily devotional, the Lord's Prayer, and the Serenity Prayer, I've seen a lot of purity in my life. And I still have ways to go. Like, there's a lot of things that I have to unwire. But I realize that I've been doing spirituality half-ass, and I don't want to do that. Like, next year, I really want to take that seriously. I just started going to a meditation center. I go on Sundays, and now I go on Wednesdays, and I may even go on Mondays. Like, I'm very serious about becoming a good man. I have my goals and my aspirations, but at the core of it, I want to be a good man, and I really want to be of help to society, but it starts with me. Now, I have the morning ritual down. The next thing, something that I want to carry into 2025, is I do want to have an evening ritual. And I feel like I'm putting myself on blast by saying this, but I want to have an evening ritual before I go to bed. I think I know what that is. It might be journaling, but that's also something else that I want to get done. Let's see. Okay, another big theme of this year for me was forgiveness. And forgiveness is a very big theme. If you want to be forgiven, you need to forgive. And the last 10, 12 years have been very hard. I've held on to a lot of grudges, but I realized that you just gotta let that go, Like, there's only so much that you can do and hold on to, and you gotta let go. And there's a friend of mine shared this with me about how it's about free will and God's will, okay? And it was equated to going on a boat, and you can do your part, but you got to rely on the winds. So that's what I strive to live my life like right now is, okay, I'm gonna do my part, but I also have to learn to let go and let God and let him do his thing. So that's that. Also, okay, so I'm gonna touch up on this social media versus real life, and in relation to friendships. Social media, you're only getting what's projected, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting the entire picture. That's why when it comes to my friends, I don't care. Like social media doesn't really like matter. It's kind of like, okay, like guys, we've had this now for like what, 15 years. You can't base your friendships off of like social media, and I feel like social media has made it very convenient for people to just take people for granted. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Like, I know who my friends are, and that's that. But that was something I want to touch upon, where it's like, you're not obligated to keep people in your life if they're not in your life, even though they might be on social media. So, again, the most important thing about any type of friendship relationship, it's communication. And if there's no communication, then you don't have a relationship. And if you have poor communication, then you have poor relationship. If you have good communication, you have good relationship. And communication, it's an inflow and an outflow. And if that's not happening, it's not happening, period. Okay? So that's pretty much it. That's a big theme. Yeah, so I mean, just to reiterate, yeah, in 2 years' time, I want to be settled down, expect my first child. I want to experience fatherhood, and that's what I'm going for. That's what I want, but a friend of mine pretty much laid it on me, and was said that there's a difference between what you want and what you deserve. And with that in mind, that's what I'm working toward. Okay. So yeah, getting personal here. Another highlight: death of Chuck Holman. That's still a very big sting on my heart that I'm still hurting from. I do plan to get my pilot's license sometime in the future. I have my priorities, but that's absolutely on the bucket list. Another highlight, I think this might be the biggest highlight for me personally and professionally, was the Superman Reborn live script reading performance. What would have been Christopher Reeve's 5th Superman movie. We did a live script reading performance in Hollywood. It was narrated and directed by Ray Carcillo, and we recorded it. Right now it's currently in post-production, and I'm hoping to get that out sometime this month. My target is like in the late January. But that was one of the most important nights. It was one of, and it could be argued, I mean, I'm arguing this with myself, it could be argued as the most important night of my life, because if you know me, you know I love Superman. But we didn't read from the 3rd script. We read from the 1st draft, which the world had never seen before, so it's an exclusive. And it's there's a lot of big differences between the 1st draft that we did and the 3rd draft that leaked on the internet. There's differences. And the best part about our script reading performance was it was followed by a live Q&A with Ilya Salkind and Mark Jones. Ilya Salkind was the producer of the first 3 Superman movies. He sold the rights, and then Superman 4 came out, and we all know how that happened. We all know what happened with that. And then Ilya Salkind bought the rights back, and he was going to do Superman 5 with Christopher Reeve. And there's some There's some other things that happened in development then that I don't want to share on here because those are exclusives, but you can expect a little bit more golden nuggets of what happened during the development of that. But that was a missed opportunity, and realistically that probably would have come out in 1992, 93 if all went well. But I'm going to be doing some interviews on different podcasts talking about that, so just be on the lookout for that. Another highlight of 2024 was getting rerouted and branching out in the city of Burbank. And I've made a lot of good relationships with city officials and getting tapped in and tuned into what's happening at my hometown. So Burbank is going to play a big role in the future. You guys have been following me, you guys know I do the Burbank Spotlights. But yeah, City of Burbank, that's a big highlight. Relationships with that. And another highlight for me was I worked on a film called The Three Killer Pigs, which was directed by Thomas J. Churchill. And it's a horror film based on the three little pigs. And I worked on it for 2 weeks. I'm not in the movie, but I worked on it, and that was like a crash course on like filmmaking. I had never worked on a film for that long, for that consecutively, and it really helped build more of my set muscles. Because the thing is, when you're on set, this is something that I think that needs to be said. When you're working on set, there is a set muscle that you have to have, and it gets built over time. Like when you first work on set, you're like, like it just drags, but over time that muscle gets built where you just are able to endure more amounts of time, such as a 14, 16-hour day. It happens. And that shoot kicked my ass, but I learned a lot, and it was one of the best sets that I ever worked on. And it's a movie that I'm actually really looking forward to, because when I first heard of the idea and concept, I was like, dude, I think that's freaking cool. And how Church did it, I think it was cool. I had a lot of fun, so I'm really looking forward to that. But that's it, guys. 2025. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's here and now. And some things that have been said with me over time that I just felt compelled to share now. I don't know why, but I'm just going to share it. But greatness stems from disappointment, okay? And oftentimes, no one is going to get it but you. Real talk. No one is going to get it but you. And you could be called delusional and etc. But sometimes most people are just never going to get it. And I've accepted that. And I'm okay with that. It stings and sucks from time to time, but it is what it is. But I think 2025 is going to be a very explosive and dynamic year. I think a lot of things are going to change. I do feel like this is kind of like a demolition year where things are just going to systematically just deteriorate, and out is going to come this new world. And I think things are going to move fast with AI and a lot of advances in technology and transportation. I think we're going to see that on the horizon. Just a hunch, but we'll check back on this video maybe next year, 5 years, 10 years from now. We'll see how everything unfolded and manifested. But that's it, guys. I think I covered everything that needed to be covered. I appreciate you guys watching. I just recently crossed over 1,000 subscribers, and I'm now officially a partner with YouTube. So I made $2.05 last month with ads on my YouTube channel. Oh yeah. But it's okay. It's not about the money. It's just about having fun and self-expression. And I'm gonna kickstart another thing soon called Cigar Diary, where I'm going to give my personal recommendations of cigars that I like, cigars that I've verified, have had quite a few times, and then make a recommendation. We've done the Cigar Lounge series before, but now it's time to get a little bit more specific and informative and educational in the department of cigar smoking, because I've learned a lot in the last year or two. But that's it, guys. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, be sure to like this video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, feel free to share, and as always, I will see you on the next one. Happy New Year, and thank you all for your support and love. God bless.